Welcome to Young State Park.
Young State Park is located at the east end of the beautiful and very large Lake Charlevoix. And this seems to be a great family and friends gathering type of park for a weekend or a week just to sit and hang out by the campfire and enjoy what the lake has to offer.
Yeah, the park itself is about 560 acres. The lake is 17,000 acres.
I said it's very large.
It's a very large lake. And people come here to boat and fish, and that seems to be a very popular thing. There are some trails here. That doesn't seem to be the focus of the place, though. It does seem like a great place. You know, we were looking up kind of the history of it, and we go to a lot of different sources, and I was looking at Facebook, and there's a lot of people that talked about Young State Park and looking forward to getting together with folks around the campfire again this summer, that kind of thing. So I think that's that kind of park, and that's great if that's what you want to do.
It's definitely a place where it seems like people come back year after year because they like the area, they like what the park has to offer. It's got some really nice sites in the campground that allow you to spread out with, kind of reserve a couple spots together so you can get your friends and family all in one big group, put your fire pit and your chairs and your tents and tables in the middle and, you know, just sit and relax for a weekend, which is always nice to do.
Yeah, the campgrounds are very open. Not a lot of trees or anything left there, but they lend themselves to that sort of group camping if people want to do that. Either you show up with friends and family or you make some friends with your neighbors and end up at the campfire together. We've done that in different places. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. The beach here seems pretty nice. I'm assuming it's much larger usually. Again, high lake levels, even on the inland lakes. Lake Charlevoix is high right now. There's a volleyball court that's really more useful for water polo right now because it's flooded. And there is a sidewalk that goes down to the beach to an ADA walkway, because you were looking for that because of the crutches that you're on right now.
Right. The crutches seem to be an issue. There's, especially the state park with a lot of sand, a lot of dirt. I'm making do. It's fine. But I could see that not everybody, if you didn't have necessarily that much upper arm strength, or depending on what your situation was, whether it was crutches or a cane or a walker or a wheelchair, just a lot of different things that you have to think about. Where is the parking to where the boardwalk is? There's like a couple handicap spots, but that's it. If you don't have a handicap placard, just because you happen to be temporarily on crutches for a few days, you have to think about where your actual parking is versus where that's going to be. But it is nice that the parks are offering those amenities, like the ADA barrier-free accessible walkway. Even if it is underwater right now, at least it's there normally. But it is just something to kind of think about. And I'm glad that the parks offer it. In many of the state parks, you'll notice that some of the sites are paved, even in a campground that's all dirt. And that's because they are starting to make sure that some of the ADA barrier-free accessible sites are available, and so they make sure that those are paved, because you just never know, again, what the disability is going to be. So check that out. Some of them are reservable only if you can prove that you have a handicap placard or license on your car. But otherwise, I would just call to the park and check and see what's available in terms of those kind of amenities, I guess.
They offer some of the paved sites here at the 3 campgrounds. There are mostly grass and dirt, though, if you're not in one of those sites that have it paved. There is 50 amp service available in some sites.
Yeah, quite a few, actually. It looks like they've upgraded a number of them in both loops.
Yep, and in at least one of the loops, you can get sites that are right on Lake Charlevoix, which look really cool.
Gorgeous view.
Unfortunately, there's a handful of them right now that are literally on Lake Charlevoix.
Because in the lake? No.
The lake is coming. You have direct lake access. But it would be nice at certain times of the year, or different years when the lake maybe isn't so high. That'd be a really pretty view to have.
Oh, and again, those are going to book up fast because A, it's easy access, B, it's just a gorgeous view of the lake. They're not exactly more private, but that kind of half of the loop is off by itself a little bit. So there's only maybe 5 or 6 spots down right at the end of the lake. So little bit. So again, if you want the family-friendly group camping, you've got a big wide open camp area for that. Or if you want to be a little bit more secluded and right by the water, those are available as well.
They also have a really good-sized park store here, a camp store. It has, kind of gifts and t-shirts, sweatshirts, that kind of thing, but it also has some of the basic food and camping supplies that you might need. It is actually located in what was originally a pavilion that was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps back in the 1930s. The folks that were at Camp Wolverine, which is well known in northern Michigan here, and they helped actually build a number of buildings here. That one remains. It is the camp store now. One of the things that we found at this park, though, or that we didn't find, is some of the history of it. We know it was started in the 20s.
Yeah, it was one of the first early original parks.
But what we couldn't find and were stumped by is why it's named Young State Park. And the DNR on staff here, the folks that we talked to anyway, didn't know. There's no placard that you will sometimes find at a park that talks about history. The history sign that's here talks about the Civilian Conservation Corps and how the CCC built the building that's now the camp store.
But nothing on Wikipedia, nothing on Facebook, nothing on any of the websites that I looked at. So if somebody out there knows, we'd love to find out why, because I've been able to get it for most of the others. It's usually a lumber baron or somebody in town or somebody that owned a company nearby and donated the land, or maybe they had their retreat. But the Young name had to come from somewhere, and it's not the lake either, unless the lake has changed names. So yeah, hopefully one of you out there know what it is and can give us some background on that.
Yeah, post it in the comments if you know, if you find a link to something. We'd really like, because we like to have the history of a park. It's really cool to know that. In addition to what you'll find here at the state park, it's near Boyne City, which is well known for people who like to do outdoor activities. Whether it's wintertime or summertime, there's usually something going on around this area that you can enjoy.
And if you're looking for something to do, one thing we haven't mentioned, but when you check in at a state park, they'll give you a map that includes information on the campground, but on the back side, hopefully you can see this a little bit, is always a list of the local merchants in the area. I mean, they're paid advertisers that are on the brochure, but it gives you a great idea of what's in the area, whether that's like putt-putt golfing or where you can get pizza or the local marina. Things that you might need or want to do, especially if you're staying here with your family and you're looking for something to do. So, for instance, around here, there's adventure golf, there's craft breweries, there's an art fair happening later this month, some local dinner places to go to. So it's always good to check out the park map. And even if you're not staying at the campground and you're just here for the day, I would grab one just because you never know what you're going to find in the local area that you didn't know about.
Yeah, and these local stores and vendors are willing to support the state parks by, helping to pay for these maps. So show them some love and maybe give them some business. We've discovered that just about every state park in Michigan so far has its own sort of personality, and I think Young has its own personality in that way too.
I agree. I know quite a few people that make this their home base. They love coming back here year after year because of the beach and everything that had in the water and everything it has to offer. And I think that this is definitely a great family-friendly place. There are tons of kids here, tons of kids on bikes, on scooters, in wagons, running around with their parents, playing soccer, all sorts of things. So I think that if that's your kind of lifestyle, this is the kind of place that you would want to come. So keep on trekking.
And we'll see you out there.
Young State Park is located at the beautiful Lake Charlevoix.
Step that up just a little bit. Step up your game.
I'm so tired.
Yeah, I know. I can tell. One more. You can do this.
Actually, because I was trying to remember
do one
something.
More. Yeah, you like where there is. Young State Park. It's an exciting place to be. It's not NPR. We're not NPR. Lake Charlevoix is high right now. There's a volleyball court that's really more of a water